Hi, my name is David Gooding. I'm the former principal timpanist of the National Symphony Orchestra and Johannesburg Philharmonic here in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I'm posting this video to express my excitement and appreciation of Professor Mark Ford and his video on to ripple or flop the marimba roll. This type of roll has been an interest of mine for many, many years. And so it was terribly exciting to see Professor Ford's video. I uploaded then last night a couple of demonstrations of the fact that you can indeed do this type of roll with a cross stick grip. And not only that, you can extend the technique into other areas. So that's what this video is about. Let me give you the links for where I saw Professor Ford's video. Carlos Johnson, Percussion Curator on Facebook is where I saw it first, and it's a great site or a great page to follow if you don't already. And then here is also the link directly to Professor Ford's YouTube video, and then the links to the two videos that I did last night. Here they are. So let's take a quick look at how inertial strokes work with a cross stick grip like Britain grip. All very standard. Maybe I'm holding a little bit further back, but not much. And so we can do the same sorts of. Notice that it's a very asymmetric sort of motion because the one that is operating with inertia, its effective weight at the mallet head is less, so it will have a higher arc. Same thing with the left hand. Put them together. And we have that nice roll. Now, what we can do is extend this technique by making the interval further apart between the initial strike and then the inertial strike to the point that we get what that means is then we're getting 4, 1, 3, 2. And that tends to make the rolls sound fuller, even with the same speed of things striking, just because we integrate the top and bottom together quicker. And of course that means that we can do one-handed rolls using that technique, and of course trills as well. And that means as well with trills we can get ridiculously tight intervals because this is not using torque the way a traditional roll, like, it's not dependent on that. So when you get to this sort of interval with a torque-driven one, it becomes increasingly difficult, and especially as you get into the upper register. If we're doing this, it requires no extra effort whatsoever. And it's a lot easier to execute as well. So that's the basis. Now let's take a look at its practical application. In the Bach movement, we can use a lot of the technique of then the one-handed roll. that, of course, then we come to places where we use 3 sticks. So we're having 4, 3, 2. And again here we have 1, 2, 3. Now here we have the one-handed roll in the left hand. The left hand is my weak hand, and it's really no effort to do this. Trill. As we head into the second half of the ba, we encounter a couple of new techniques that we can use inertial strokes for. The first of them is when we have 2 notes that we want to sustain in the upper register, then that can sometimes degenerate into a rhythm rather than the kind of standard understanding of a roll as a sustained tone. What we can do is we can turn this into a triplet roll, which makes it much fuller. Then here, we also do a triplet, which gets our roll speed much higher. Again here, 2 notes broken into a triplet. And again here, that triplet technique. And notice that this high A, we can do a lot in terms of dynamics, color, and it all sounds quite full with a roll speed that's fast enough that we tend not as human beings to perceive the separate notes of it. So that goes all the way through. You'll hear a lot of that in the second half where we're using triplets on either a single bar or 2 bars to fill out the illusion of notes happening fast enough to fool the ear into thinking that we have a continual tone. Now, there are things that we can extend further, like the first ending of the first half. Then it's entirely possible, instead of just playing, because we can use even smaller intervals for these independent rolls. For me, it's not worth the extra effort in terms of getting the body physically into position to do that. I'm not sure it's worth it. Maybe the next time I go through a cycle of learning this, I'll change to that. But for now, I think this is enough of an illusion. And those are some of the technical highlights from the Bach using inertial strokes. With the Maslanka, we want full, round sounds that are nice and legato and give us the possibility of expression. If we voice it 4-1-3-2, then I think that takes us in that direction. Now, as we move further into the movement, then we have the challenge of notes in this register and again, that to me tends to break apart slightly into a rhythm. So if again we use this technique, a triplet roll, then I think that gets us at least some of the way there to a more continuous sound on those single notes. The last little technical thing is Maslanka asks us in the next section to bring out those notes within the rolls. Now, if we start out with that sort of triplet idea on the B flat, we can bring that out. Now here we're voicing 4, 3, 1, 2, so that we can get that G to speak. Then we're back to the other voicing, 4, 1, 3, 2, so that then on top we can bring out the D with an independent roll. Now, in that way, we can use this inertial technique for a variety of different purposes, and it just gives us all sorts of new tools. Now, I'm not a marimbist. I'm an orchestral timpanist, and that's my primary focus. So I don't pretend to be a marimba expert. But I do think inertial strokes are a valuable tool. I'm very grateful to Professor Ford for highlighting this. And I just want to bring to everybody's attention as well that cross-stick players can make use of the same techniques, and we can extend these techniques even further, and that gives us all the more expressive power on the instrument. Thanks a lot.